I just got home from a very intense session with my goddaughter, Cinderella. She received an invitation to go to this ball, aka the social event of the year. However, she has an evil stepmother and stepsisters who literally and figuratively pushed everything they could in her way so she would not make it. She was sad and defeated, and who should show up? Me, her fairy god person that would help her through this difficult time. However, we all know coming from a humanistic approach, I couldn't solve the problem for her. She had to dig deep inside, and through some self-actualization on her part, she actually... Well, hold on. Before I spoil the ending, let's start at the beginning. And before I start, I just want you to know that I know discussing a client session with you is against the ACA Code of Ethics, but I have written consent from Cinderella saying that I can discuss our session. Okay, so let's begin. I have an inner sense when it comes to my goddaughter, and I had the nagging feeling all day that something was wrong with her. So I decided to pop in and just check on her to see how things were going. Come to find out, my fairy senses did not prove me wrong. I show up and Cinderella is hysterically crying by herself in the corner, dressed in a beautiful, or it was beautiful, gown that was shredded from head to toe. I calm her down and take her out of the house down to the little creek by our house. I figured by getting her out of the hostile environment she was in and into a much more calmer environment, we are setting up a good climate for her to trust me and open up. I had swooped her out of the house so fast she didn't even have a chance to ask who I was. Long story short, I explained that I was her fairy god person, and my fairy senses had informed me that she was in trouble, and voila, here I am. She seemed very down on herself, had low self-esteem, and didn't seem to want to talk much. However, after she could tell that I was being truly genuine, she started to talk more. She started to open up and tell me how she had been invited to the ball and that she had spent so much time making her dress and getting ready just to have her stepmother and sisters ruin the dress and everything else in her life. She finished the story and looked at me. I sat there in silence, processing everything, and after a long silence, she finally asked what she should do. Should she still go to the ball even though her other dresses aren't fancy enough? Should she let her family win the battle for her happiness? I told her that I'm not here to tell you what to do. She asked then why was I there? What was the point of all this? I told her that I was here to help. I was here to create an optimistic, non-judgmental environment that will eventually allow her to discover her inner choices. I told her that this is not a path she will take alone. It is a shared journey between the two of us, and the best thing I can offer her are my genuineness, unconditional positive regard, congruence, and empathy. I informed her that by me relaying those techniques, I create the perfect climate in order for her to self-actualize and discover how she feels and how she should handle the situation. Realizing that I was focusing solely on person-centered therapy, I decided to branch out into other theories associated with the humanistic conceptual orientation. I pulled techniques from existential therapy. She started mentioning that she would always be under the mercy of her stepmother and sisters, and that she was born to be their maid and will literally die an old maid, or whatever that saying is. I told her that we may be born without a purpose, but that doesn't mean we die without a purpose. We are in charge of our life and to create our own purpose. I told her that maybe she needs to do some self-reflection so we can gain some insight of the choices she has made, and then we can determine how we can direct her future. Then I also wanted to incorporate a technique from Gestalt therapy. I told her I wanted to try an exercise, the empty chair technique to be exact. I told her to look beside her. I wanted her to imagine her stepmother and sisters sitting there. What do you want to say to them that you think would remove the impasses from your life and allow you to break free from the influences they set on you and how it affects your happiness? Cinderella said that she's unhappy in her life, and that I proposed that maybe one of the core reasons she is unhappy is because of the way her family treats her. We as humans have a strong need to be positively accepted by others and to feel worthy. By not feeling accepted by her own family, it causes her to not feel worthy and to do anything she can in order to receive that acceptance from her family, such as pretty much being their maid and just doing anything and everything they tell her to do. As you can see, it caused a pretty big issue. Tonight just being the breaking point. Solving that issue could cause her to create a more authentic life and become more in touch with herself and her feelings. Then I suddenly remembered that the ball was starting and we had to get her there if she still wanted to go. I told her this and she said, don't know. I know you can't tell me what to do, but can you at least give me a hint or something? I asked her, what would you like for me to tell you to do? She thought for a minute. She said, I think I want you to tell me to go to the ball and have the time of my life, and then tomorrow discuss my issues with my family and not let them determine my future or my happiness. I looked at her and I said, I think you just solved your own problem. A look of surprise overcame her face, and she was just like, whoa, I didn't even realize it. Thank you. I told her that she had the answer all along. I just made her aware of her inner choices and gave her the ability to self-actualize by creating an environment to allow herself to grow. After we finished up the session, I worked my magic and shimmied up a dress so gorgeous that it was sure to draw major attention from everyone at the ball. Sure enough, it drew the attention of one person in particular, the prince. And in true Disney form, they fell in love and lived happily ever